Hello, and welcome back. My name's Corbin, and you're watching episode 4 of the BloomCraft SMP. Previously, we left off getting the guild hall and the market area set up, just so people can visit and maybe get handed a few quests in the future. But for now, I think it's finally time we get started on the foundations of our main base. For this episode, it's going to be a whole lot of the resource collecting department, which is why you saw me place this haste beacon down, because we're going to start with getting pale oak. For this episode, the intention is going to be to collect a lot of the resources we're going to need to build the base, maybe even get the foundation of the base down, and set up a few of the things that are going to speed up our processes, like a super smelter, and maybe a better storage system, because right now, we just have a whole pile of chests everywhere. That's not efficient. But some of the blocks that I'm looking for this white base palette is going to be obviously this pale oak, some of the diorite. I'm going to actually go try to get some white terracotta and bone blocks. I was looking for calcite in the peaks of mountains, and I traveled probably 10,000 blocks and could not find any. So I'm going to just assume that everybody has their mountains claimed and I'm not going to get any. But that's not a problem. There's plenty of other blocks to pick from in this game, so hopefully we can do that. For the base design itself, I'm kind of considering encompassing the entire mountain side over here, maybe even a little bit of the top and back side with some sort of walls to make it look very castle style, like you've taken over the top of this mountain, and maybe have a bunch of village houses that probably trail off to this back end and then on this coastline. But then I certainly want to work my way under and make use of this cavern down here. I think that a lot of our cooler stuff's going to go down here, maybe our smelters, maybe some farms, just so that we have an easy open area to work from under us, and then we could keep the top more aesthetic. But all of that is after we collect our resources. Corbin might be useful for potions. Don't know. Oh! I can make fire resistance potions with this. I kind of already had some in the shop, but I realized that people have been buying them. That's good news. Shout out to you, Dono. When I get some fire resistant potions brewed, I'm going to bring you some on the house. Thanks for the magma cream. We managed to get a good chunk of the primary blocks here, particularly a lot more of the diorite, pale oak, and the bone blocks, but now it's time to go get the white terracotta, and I happen to know of a biome northeast-ish, about 3 to 5,000 blocks. So let's go adventuring, and hopefully we can find some goodies along the way. On my ventures, I came to the conclusion that there's one more block I can use, and that is going to be white concrete. So that's why you just saw me collecting gravel, but I'm going to need a whole lot more than that. So I'm going to see if I can find a few gravel shores here, excavate them, and then maybe grab some sand so that I could do white concrete. Wow, this wall building came out so much better than I expected. I followed a little bit of a design that I saw. I really liked it, and then I added my own twist again with the diorite and some of the iron fences, just so we can get a little bit more of that detail I really like to the bottom of my walls. But now, so we can get an actual base operation going, I think I'm going to put a pause on building the structure upward, and I'm going to work down here in the cave. The plan that I have for the base is to have a larger castle up on the top there. That's what the walls are building up to. But the living area, where I'm going to have my storage system and maybe some farms, is going to be down in here. So I'm going to probably make some sort of an entrance and then run the contour of these walls, these cave walls, in the design of the high stone castle walls, and see what I can come up with so that I can put some sort of a chest system, maybe some auto smelters, and something down here. So let's get to that. I've certainly been having lots of fun with these time lapses, but I keep finding myself having to cut in between them pretty often because I keep running out of resources. The bone blocks are pretty hard to collect, and I have to go back and forth intermittently getting some more of this white concrete. However, I think the best approach to this is just to recap on what we've done so far so we can get the general idea of what this base is going to be like, and then we work on a storage room. And maybe if we have time, a super smelter? Yeah. Taking a step back here, we can actually see the layer system to these walls folding out exactly how I expected them to. I'm really happy with how these walls came out. The fact that they have the separate section here that perfectly gives me the archway for the cave system, and then we have the tiers going up. So we can get these walls. This is going to be our main brace, and then we have tier 1, 2, and there's going to be a third layer around this so that we can put our castle right on top. This patch right here is going to be our courtyard, And then I'm also going to add a few walls on this backside, but probably not too many. Maybe just one or two. So that around this mountain is going to be the village itself, where I have my entire port on the coast. And then our main base area is going to be down here. I like when you get the first visual approaching it, because not a lot of people know what's going to happen when you approach this, this cave section that's eventually going to have an archway. But then you look down and then you get blasted with this visual right here, and I think that makes it look really cool. When you work your way down and view it how it's intended to be viewed, it's going to be like a layer system. So the top row, this one in particular, is probably going to be the pathway that loops somewhere around from this entrance down to the right, and then you're going to walk around the whole thing so you can get the view of the cave from a pathway. And I think I want to make some sort of a grand waterfall coming from the roof, or maybe even some portion up here, and cascade down the layers. So you come down this layer, and then back here is going to be where our storage room is, tucked right behind where the waterfall is going to go. Then that waterfall is going to break out from under this bridge and then flood a massive lush pond down here that I'm going to make. The visuals in my head, and of course I always do a lot of freehand building. I don't do many of my planning out, but I do know that I want it to be very lush on the bottom and very lush on the top. So I'm going to also probably carve out some sort of a circular, maybe like another like layer cake system into the roof that has a lot of glowberry vines hanging, and maybe even some of the red vines from the warped forest. I actually forgot what those are called, but yeah, that's going to be the base area. And then toward this section, so we come out, and while we're in our base we get to view something, I'm probably going to do a bunch of cool stuff down over here. Maybe this back here is going to be where my farms are going to be, and yeah, I'm excited. Moving to our loot room section here, it's going to be interesting because I want the waterfall to come down somewhere around this central area, but I also want it to not just flood forward, but I want it to flood backwards and give us a little bit of a ravine here that brings the lushness into our main crafting area. So I'm going to turn the storage system into almost a horseshoe shape, or a U, if you will. And I'm going to have a pathway going all around these walls, and then into the walls are going to be my chests. But I think the best approach to this is going to be break it up into sections. So I'm going to make this right side my storage room, this back side maybe something like alchemy or enchanting, and then this side is where I'm going to start connecting my super smelter. So I'm going to probably have an input chest and then an output chest, and then the super smelter is going to be behind this wall. Maybe I'll have some glass to it, or I might just make it hidden because it kind of looks ugly to look at. It breaks up the theme a bit, but I also think I'll just add an access hatch to it just in case I need to go unclog it or some sort of issue happened with it. I certainly think I used up my time-lapse quota for this episode, so I think I'm just going to do it in my style where I break it up and play some blocks so you can enjoy the process of it. We have it, our finished loot room design. I think this is going to hold me over for probably the entirety of the playthrough. Anything else will be put into shulker boxes later on, but as you can see, each one of these trapdoors have a convenient crafting table behind it. I'm going to temporarily leave the scaffolding here to get up to the second floor, but eventually I think a bubble column will look a lot better. But now we have this section up here too, and there's even a staggered amount of space. If you could see that the chests are one recessed back from the bottom row, just so that if I ever would decide to, I can do some sort of a sorting system here with plenty of space on the top and bottom for the system. And now we get to the fun part of doing the exact thing on the other side. Not a storage room though, this one's going to be for the super smelter. So I think I'm going to do two, one with regular furnace and one with blast furnace, so that I can process ores really fast. Well, the system seems to be built. It operates enough. I was originally going to go with a minecart loader at the bottom, but I just switched it out to having a lever and just turn on when I need it to, because I realized that the loader, the one that fits in this design, only lets it fill to the maximum before it sends it off. So if this minecart is half full, it won't send it off to go, process, which is kind of not how I want it. So instead, I just turn it on when I have items in the system and it'll automatically pull them out. However, the one small problem with that is that it only pulls 3 at a time per cycle it runs. I'm hoping that 3 at a time will keep up with pace. If not, I'm just going to go ahead and have to switch out the style of loader I use. I'll just have to bring some hoppers down a little further from this chest to then fill up a smart loader essentially, and have it sent up in batches. But I think for now this will do, maybe for the time being, while I make a separate one with blast furnace and such. But probably off camera I'll test it and make a separate loader. But other than that, I really like how the design laid out. The fact that it sits pretty flush with this column right here, and that I can have the this U-shape interface here, so that I can, the center here is where all of the resources are going to be collected once they're done smelting. The left is for fuel input into the hopper column right here, and then the right is going to be for the resource input on the top row. And they have minecarts going above them. The minecarts are a little bit weird how I had to send them through the wall here because of the way they spiral, and also that they wouldn't fit under, so I had to do a real odd stacking maneuver in the bridge. So maybe this hopper right here won't be getting fed, so I'm gonna have to test that as well. But for now, this is my super smelter. If all of this doesn't work how I plan it to, I'm just going to go ahead and do hoppers for the entirety of it, and just bubble column or something the items around, so I don't even have to think about it. That seems to be about all the time that we have for this episode. I really enjoyed what we got done, because we now understand what the base structure looks like and a lot of the color palette we're going to be using. We have the foundation for the walls, and now a little bit of an area that I can start organizing myself in, with the storage room and the smelter in the background. I wanted to get this all decorated, but we were running out of time. So I think that off camera, I'm going to really figure out the smeltery setup and maybe sprinkle some greenery all around, so that we're not just looking at some stone walls and a vast cavern. But anyways, thanks for watching, take care, and later.